Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Brittany Renee Experience. I am so excited and grateful for you guys to be here. I am super excited for the guest that I have on today. This is a very dear friend of mine. For those of you who have followed my journey, you may know this. For those of you who are new, before I came into doing what I do now as a coach, I was a makeup artist. And the person that I am bringing on today was actually my mentor, good friend, still good friend. He is an incredible professional celebrity makeup artist that can make you look fabulous, but he is also a very talented intuitive. I'll also let him give a little insight to what he does, but nonetheless, let's welcome our guest for this week, Chris Lanston. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Brittany. It's so good to see you again. You look younger and younger as the years go by.
It's the tricks you taught me.
Right. I did teach you a lot of things. Actually, we met through a group of makeup artists and team that I was working for at the time. And I think it was in Tennessee.
Yep.
So I was almost not going to go on that trip. So I almost canceled. And I had a nudge. I always have nudges. So I had a nudge to go to this event. And I'm glad I did. I do like helping people, whether it's in beauty or even my psychic abilities. I just enjoyed that. I do talk a lot and I am very unfiltered, but that's just the way I've always been, even as a kid. So I am glad I did that because I got to meet you. And here we are.
Here we are. So today we're going to do something really fun. So Chris is going to share some of his gifts with us today by doing a collective reading. So as always, you guys will hear me say, like, take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and then we're just going to riff and keep this conversational, talk about all of the things. So if you guys have questions that you're watching the replay and you're like, what does this mean? Or go into that deeper, please drop in. And then you guys will also be able to find Chris. I'm going to put all of his links, his websites, how you find him, how you can book with him. If you're like, I love him, I want a reading, which I know we'll have people doing that. All of the information will be down in the information. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what's happening. So I'm going to pass it over to you.
Okay. So I think the first thing we'll go in on is probably how I'll just do an overall collective of energies currently right now as of 2023. And we'll see what the guides say. No, when I channel or when I do tarot, it's especially since it's collective, it's all kinds of energy. So it's not just my guides or your guides. It's kind of an overall energy of the collective guides. Because I think we all have individual guides, but the world also has its own guides. The earth has its guides. I'm kind of also hearing in a way that a god or spirit even has guides for that, which you think that would be the all-knowing, and sometimes it is, and sometimes I think not so much because that's why we're here. But I'm hearing also that energy of God or source also has guides. It's the first time I've ever heard that, actually.
I love that.
So, and you think about, like, why does that energy need guides if it's all knowing? Because you would just assume that, especially in like a Christian setting where like God is the all knowing, why would that need guidance? Doesn't he know? Doesn't he have the great big plan? No, I don't think that has a great big plan. I think the great big plan is for us to have a plan, and we're here for free will, and what we learn kind of goes back into that energy. And then I think that's how it is the all the way, because we're kind of all part of that. Sometimes when I channel, sometimes I don't even make sense to myself. And it all makes sense to me later. But, that's just how I get it. I just hear the information. I'm very clairaudient. So I hear the information from spirit, not psychotic, not crazy, but clairaudient. I do have the other clairabilities, clairsentience, and claircognance. Clairvoyance is my least, probably because I am a Virgo sun. And they're very judgy usually, and they're very picky. So if I had a spirit come up to me, I'd probably judge it anyway for looking bad. Okay, so the collective. Okay, so we start off here with the wheel. Now, the wheel is talking about, I'll read what the card says, and I'll tell you what I'm getting intuitively. So the wheel talks about new beginnings, kind of like end of delays in a new direction. But what I'm feeling right now is that wheel's kind of stuck. Um, I'm seeing a vision like the show Price is Right, where people spin the wheel,
Yeah.
and they're all trying to get a certain. They all want to get whatever it was they want, like all that money or a great prize. But sometimes it lands on the zero or something that you don't quite want or something that's not quite enough. What I'm feeling from the collective is like the wheel is a kind of the wheel is going to be the wheel no matter what. But we've got so many people spinning it, and people are getting different results, and they're getting different outcomes, and it's overwhelming. And then the wheel just kind of got stuck. So I think our collective will right now is just stuck. Not that it's a bad thing or a good thing, I guess, depending on where you are in your life. But as a collective, I think the wheel is not in harmony with the way it should be going. I think we need to oil it up a little bit or whatever you do to get the wheel going again. But I just feel like as a collective, we're just kind of stuck. And again, it's not that it's good or bad. It's just that um, it is what it is. It's not flowing the way it should be flowing. There's always a reason for that, because when things get stuck, you have to understand why they're stuck and how you can fix it and move forward. So that's just what I'm getting intuitively about the collective with that for now. I also hear when I talk, so sometimes I be speaking really fast and then I'll slow down and it looks like I'm going crazy, but I'm not. I'm just hearing voices.
We're not crazy.
All right. So the next thing, I'm a little crazy though. The next thing we have is the Ace of Ariel, which is Pentacles, Ace of Pentacles, which is a good thing because this is the best card that you can probably get for an Earth card or an Earth sign or on planet Earth, which is about resources, money, anything that gives you, I'm hearing status. It could also be like a change in a job or promotion. But what I'm hearing is before we get to that point, the wheel has to start moving. So when the wheel starts moving forward, then we go into this Ace of Pentacles, which doesn't mean that people are going to always be, or everyone's going to be wealthy. That's not what I'm hearing. Like, not everyone's going to be wealthy, right? Like, that's not how it works. Like, we all want that for everybody. We all want peace on earth for everybody. We all want everyone to be rich. Well, that's not going to happen because Earth is a contrast planet. You have to have the good with the bad. You have to have the light with the dark. And it's not that it's good or bad. It's just what it is. Everything has to have an opposite. You have an opposite. I have an opposite. And we all have an equal. So you have to understand your opposite. You have to know what you are not to understand what you are. So if everything was good on this planet, it wouldn't be considered good. It would just be boring and just what it is. Right? So that's how I feel with that. Next, we have the Six of Swords. And this is overcoming obstacles, like a battle one. So I do feel like the collective and what's going on right now will be okay. So what I'm hearing is will be understood. It's not like it's not because right now we're kind of like, I don't know how to describe it, battle maybe. There's a lot of difference of opinions on whatever side you're on, whatever you relate to. Not everyone's going to agree with you, and that should be okay. Everyone should understand that no one is going to feel and see the same things as the other person does. We can try to relate to people, we can try to understand people, but at the end of the day, it's like we have to worry about, not even worry, we have to realize what we are and what we are not. So, but I do feel that things are moving very slow. But I am hearing once that overcome of obstacles happen, things start to go in the flow again. It's kind of like that pendulum situation where certain things that have been pushed to a degree where it was too much for, let's say, political sides. I'm not either side. I'm just kind of like, I don't even consider myself in the middle. I'm just kind of looking above it. Not that I'm agreeing or disagreeing with anything, or not that I think anything is good or bad. It's just, I just don't give into that. So let's say there is a side. I grew up in a very, not completely religious, but very Baptist type of growing up. I didn't understand that completely because it didn't feel right to me. I just felt like I was very suppressed and very depressed and very, I just didn't get along with that, or I didn't feel connected to that. I just felt it was more than that. But I think taking that out of it, when one side pushes so far onto another one, it's going to push back no matter what it is. You can be conservative and things are going a little bit too much for you, and you're going to push back. That side's going to push back too, because it's just a battle going back and forth. And even if people meet in the middle, that's still not agreeing with everything. It's just agreeing to disagree.
Yeah.
And for a while, that's kind of where we want to be. You want to be able to live amongst the others and be okay. You do your thing, I do mine. Let's not interrupt each other and whatever. But when things are trying to make it to where everyone agrees with everything, that's never going to happen ever. That's never going to happen. We can't do that. That's not what we're here on earth to do. We're here to create and experience, and there's so much contrast, and contrast is where things are born and created. Because we didn't come to earth to be blissed the fuck out. We came here to experience things. If we wanted to be blissed the fuck out, we wouldn't have came. We just would have stayed in spirit. Ending this, we have the Ace of Pentacles, again from a completely different deck. And usually when the same information or card comes up with a different deck, it's kind of like the universe. I call it the Nene Leaks spirit. I said what I said. So this one's a good fortune, prosperity, abundance. But again, the wheel is just stuck right now. And how do we get that wheel moving again? It's just to agree to disagree. And that's the thing. We have to agree to disagree, not push on either side. Come here, agree that we are different, but let's try to get along. And then that moves everything up, and things move upward and forward, and it releases this like a release. But I'm getting I'm hearing this is not going to happen fully for another probably 3 years.
That's interesting, because I've felt a similar like 20, somewhere between 2025 and like 2027. Feels like we've got a lot.
Another 27.
There's your number.
Yeah. Well, that it's completion. 27 would be a 9, so it would be a completion. So sometime around 25 to 27, I feel like it will be a little bit more to where we agree, because we're never all going to get along. It's never.
We're just going to neutralize the energy. Like people are just going to learn to better, I think, neutralize the space.
Yeah. And I think just people just wanted to be heard, and they've become aggressive on either side. You know, they just want to be heard, and they were muted and shut down. And it's no one wants, when you have a voice and you want to be heard and you're not, you're going to act up. You're going to cause a scene usually, or you just hold it inside and become a ticky ticky boom. So, and you don't want that. So, so right off, I'm getting that. Let me pull an animal totem. Why not? Let's see what the animals have to say.
I love that.
All right. Animal totem for the collective. Actually, I want to see what totem we're in now and what totem we're going into. Where are we at now with the totems? Animals. What kind of animal energy do we have? Okay, this is interesting. First, we have the peacock, which is showing your true colors. And I think that's what's happening right now. Everybody's starting to show who they really are, which is fine. You should. The peacock is very proud. It's very egotistical. And think about all the things going on in the world right now, from whoever you are, whatever you are, whatever you identify as, whatever. It's that peacock energy. I'm going to be seen no matter what. Okay? To show your true colors. And then where are we headed? Where are we headed? We are headed to the butterfly, which is transformation and lighten up, which is cool because they both have really nice feathers and they're both very colorful. But the butterfly is lighten up. Again, lighten up. Like I said, like things have to go up and just lighten up and let it not be so heavy. And I think that's where we're headed. But again, 2027. Yeah. It could be a little bit before, but I'm definitely not hearing any time after. So by 2027, we should all be fluttering up.
We should be out of the cocoons.
Right. We may be in a cocoon right now, or maybe we'll be going into a cocoon. I don't know. But the peacock energy makes sense to me because everyone wants to be heard and they want to show off and they want to be proud and they want to be loud and look at me. And I think that's where we are. There's nothing wrong with it, but not everyone's going to agree with it.
Exactly. So what is your kind of extensive take on where, like, what are you seeing right now? I just did a video on this before we hopped on here about, I feel like we have this interesting like shake up portal that happens every like October, November, December. Like there's just this interesting energy. It's always been like this for me. Interested to know if it's like this for you. Like this time last year, kind of what was the end of the year like for you? And are you feeling similar energy now, or is it feeling different for you?
It's feeling a little different for me now. No, last year I recently moved back to New York City because I spent some time on the West Coast for about 2 years. Um, but last year around this time, I just moved back. I was just getting back in the swing of things. Um, I had a friend tell me that New York City was not the same anymore. It's just not what it used to be. But when I arrived, I felt no different than it was when I left. Everything was still going. Things were open.
Mhm.
I understand things were kind of shut down when I was away. Um, but as soon as I got back here, I felt the energy again. I felt alive again, and I lit
Mm.
up like a tree again. But things are a little slow because I think it was a process of me readjusting again. And that's how it was for the first year or last year. Right now, I feel like things are, for me personally, I feel like what I'm getting, what they're showing me is like I'm kind of coming out of the, I'm not being held down anymore. Like there
Mhm.
was a lot of weight on me. Um, and that was, my personal issues to worldly issues to whatever. Um, I do feel a little lighter. I guess I'm going into the butterfly myself. I feel like it's, again, as long as you're able to speak and get your point across, and I think we all should have that freedom to express how we feel freely. And I think that was shut down for so long that people act out on that. And it's not just during the pandemic years. This is way before when people weren't allowed to use their voice.
Mhm.
You're going to have to speak up. Everyone wants to be heard and seen, like I said. And when you don't get that opportunity, then you act up. Or when people speak, let's say, their own personal truth or the truth or whatever you consider that to be, and then they get shut down for it, that creates a whole other type of portal and a whole other type
Mhm.
of energy as well.
Mhm.
And I mean, let's face it, Earth is Earth. We're all going to be made fun of, and we all make fun of people. We're all going to be feeling a certain way, and we make people feel a certain way. No one's better than anybody else. Everybody has hurt people's feelings. Everybody has got their feelings hurt. Get over it. It's Earth.
Right. We're here for the experience, y'all. Exactly. So, segueing into something we kind of talked about on, speaking of content, on one of my videos, which I wanted to jump in with you here. So,
Yeah.
one of the beautiful things that I think is happening is we do have these platforms now that more people are able to be seen, right? And able to share their voice and their messages. And
Yeah.
I
The
love that.
peacock energy.
Yeah, peacock energy, exactly. And that's what I was seeing when you were showing that card, talking about that card. I'm like, it's what we're at. I mean, it's where we are. There are people who are using their platforms for business and development, like, I do. Then there's people that are, using it for fun. And like some of your TikToks are so fun, right? Like totally not something that I can come up with. But so anyways, I love that we all have a stage right now if we want it. But the one thing that I think is happening in the growth of consciousness also is that there's a lot of people clinging to only love, only light, anything dark or shadowy, like F that, it's bad,
Yeah.
run away, don't come near it. And I'm like, the embodiment of who we are is all of it. We all
Yeah.
have shadow, we all have dark, we all have whatever, but you have, I think, such a strong voice on this topic that I'd really love to hear you just kind of riff on, quote, darkness and what
Right.
your thoughts are with
Well,
it.
yeah. I mean, I feel comfortable in darkness. When I say that, it's nothing negative or it's nothing like demonic or evil, because that can even be in light situations too.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a difference between a nice person and a kind person. A nice person will just say things to make people like them or to be liked, or can say something to one person and say something to the other person. A kind person will do something out of kindness. A nice person will just be nice in order to get along or to be liked. And I think that's bad energy too.
It's not authentic.
It's not. So I don't know why that came up, but that was the first thing I heard to talk about that. Next is my sun is in the eighth house, which is like Scorpio energy. So I see very well in the dark. Like I see things that are hidden. I see things that are unknown. Um, and so what do you do with that information? I'm also Virgo sun, so that's like the hermit card, the one with the lantern. So I'm here to kind of shine a light on things that are in the dark so it's understood better. And so it can transmute and become balanced again, because we're kind of off balance with that. And we're never going to be completely always balanced because things are going to happen in life, Earth.
Mhm.
So for me, in my opinion, the darkness was for the light, right? Darkness is where things are created. Darkness is where magic happens. Darkness is where anything really happens. Because in order for the stars to shine, there has to be darkness. In order for the lights to come on, there has to be darkness first. So a lot of people run away from the dark, and it can be scary because what we've been programmed to think about it. We're going to think there's a monster there. We're going to think be afraid of the dark. And I'm not saying frolic along the forest at nighttime by yourself. It is Earth. Things could happen.
Yeah.
But, it's different because that, in my opinion, is where things are created. And that's where all the magic starts, is from the dark space. Not the evil space, not the mean space, but the dark space, because that's the blank slate. Darkness is the absence of color. The light is all the colors. So it has to start somewhere. So it's got to always start in the dark. And then let there be light, meaning let there be creation, and let's do it that way. And that's my take on dark.
Yeah, I'd love for you to give the listeners an idea of what is like, quote, evil dark versus not evil dark. Like, what would be kind of like
Well,
human differences?
the not evil dark would just be what I talked about. It's where the creation starts. Okay. So you can create something, quote unquote, evil from that. You can create whatever you want from the dark. I like the dark space just because I feel we all sleep in the dark, right? No one, well, maybe not everybody, but some people want the lights out. Why? You feel more comfortable and you feel relaxed and you want to shut off things, usually. That's darkness. No one sleeps with the lights on. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, they might, but
Some people probably do.
I think that's weird. Yes, I'm judging. Um, and as far as evil dark goes, I think that's all a mental thing.
Mm.
So, yes, there is things out there that are evil. But evil can be found in, like the other day we were talking about horror movies, and
Mhm.
I even think evil can be found in comedy or
Mhm.
rom-com videos, because they're showing you that is possible, that can happen, and most people can achieve that. It's fairy tales to me. It's entertaining, but it's fairy tales. At least with horror movies, they're teaching realistic fear and how to protect yourself or death, and we all die. No one's getting out of here alive. Death is transformation, death is rebirth. Can there be portals of things coming? Yes. That could be on anything from Ouija boards, which I played with as a kid. I probably shouldn't have played with it without knowing a lot, but I just felt drawn to it.
Yeah.
Again, sun in the eighth house. But I use tarot now, which is the same form of Ouija. It's because I'm better now at understanding spirit and how to connect with it and how to protect myself from it. So as a child, I probably should have understood that a little bit better, but I thought everyone could do this when I was a kid. I just thought everyone could hear things and see things that I did, and
Mm.
they didn't. So I was like, So I suppressed it a lot. Um, and just to fit in. I think
Mm.
that's another part about the evil thing, is like I wasn't able to express myself because I was shut down from people with the light,
Mm.
or God's going to punish you, or go to the light.
Right.
Maybe I don't want to go there. I want
Right.
to go to the dark. And it's nothing bad about that. It's not anything evil. And that's just my take on it. You can go wherever you want to go. You have the free will, you have the choice. But the difference between horror movies or comedy or rom-com. Rom-coms are great. They're fun, but they can be unrealistic. Horror movies are a little bit more realistic in terms of shit happens. Fairy
So do
tales
you,
are fairy tales.
right. So I have a question.
Hmm.
So do you feel like when you say rom-coms are unrealistic, people want to attain it, do you feel like it's because they're not showing the full, like the fullness of unions, just meaning like we always are going to hit
Well,
shit, we're going to hit shadow, or like your belief system is rooted in that's not real?
I think I'm not saying it's not real. Like we all, well, not all, but a lot of people watch it because they're missing that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they have it. If you have that in your life, you probably aren't going to watch a rom com. Like a lot of people, if things are, you're not going to get a tarot reading if your life is going super great. Most times you just don't get it. You don't care to get that because things are going well. And if your life is well and things are going great and you're in love and whatever, you're normally not going to watch a rom com. Most people that do are lonely. They just broke up. They are going through some situation. They want that again. And they watch that and they just become more miserable because they're seeing what they don't have. I'm not saying go watch a horror movie and enjoy it if you want to enjoy it, but again, it's all mental stuff. It's all mentality stuff. If you believe that some things are going to happen to you and that's just program and you believe that and things get stuck in the subconscious, that's what I'm hearing right now. Things will just get stuck in the subconscious and then they're playing out roles or whatever in there. But that's how I feel about certain things
Mm-hmm.
with fairy tales. I'm not saying horror movies are the way to go. I enjoy horror movies. I just grew up watching horror movies, but I know to leave it there, and that's how I deal with horror movies. But I've been watching them since I was 5 years old.
Yeah.
Still
I
alive and kicking.
I am like totally opposite. Like we did not do horror films in my house. I
Yeah.
still to this day don't. I've watched them before. The energy for me is just I think in part because I feel so much, right? So when I'm seeing someone struggle or like go through things, I get anxiety. Like, and this isn't even just that. Like when I watch a rom-com and someone's going through a heartbreak, I feel like I want to cry because I'm like, oh my God, I like
Yeah.
feel
And
you.
that's one thing too. I don't like the reason I don't like watching that because I shut down my empathic abilities as much as I can. And if I watch a fairy tale or rom com, I'm going to pick up on that emotion and the tears will come out. I'll relate. And I'm like, I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to feel sad. I don't want to feel hopeless and whatever. If I'm watching a horror movie, I'm like, ooh, is she going to live? Oh, what is she going to do? Or what is he going to do? Like I'm like so invested in that. Like, oh God, run. Rom coms, I'm like, what a fucking idiot. So what? You lost your shoe. He's never coming back. Get over it.
I feel like you need to do like when they do stitches on like TikTok with like scenes from things, you need to just do
Yeah.
like voiceover of like what they need to be doing.
Right. Well, yeah. But that's how I feel about it. But I do enjoy both of them. But I'm more drawn to a horror movie just because I get more entertainment and more joy out of what. Not that I enjoy people getting killed. I judge people how they get killed. 'Cause I'm like, how did you not see that coming? It's the same
Oh,
thing, kind
it's
of.
the same
Um,
thing I feel like in every movie.
yeah, but I get more sad if I watch a rom com than happy.
Yeah, I get that. And and this is, I think, the part, right, what we were talking about in the reading. It's like everybody is going to have different opinions, right? Like
Yeah,
I cannot sit and watch a horror movie because I will just have anxiety the whole
yeah,
time. Nor do I
yeah.
really like to sit and watch rom-coms because then I'm going to feel sad and I'm going to be like, oh, like in that energy, which is honestly why like I just don't consume a lot of things anymore. Like I don't really watch movies. I don't watch TV. We never watch the news. I don't
Not
watch
really. Me either. I'm more of a music person than
Yeah.
movies. Um, but we saw the Barbie movie whenever you
Oh,
were in New York, and that was fun. That was I laughed. I was in good company. It
yeah.
was dark in the theater
Hmm.
because you can't see it without the dark.
Hmm.
So the darkness plays a big part of it. But I enjoyed the movie. It had a lot of color. I love neon colors. I love
Oh,
the 80s.
Yes, that was great. That was a good one. If you guys haven't seen the Barbie movie yet, I would recommend. It's cute. It's got some good little things in there.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't want to give it away. I mean, I'm sure most people by now have probably either seen it, but if you haven't, it's fun. Um, I mean, there may be a little horror in that movie too.
Yeah. Yeah, it was cute. They did a good job with that. And it's like it's that, I think the biggest thing that I feel like you and I both resonate in this space is just be whoever you are. It's like if you love the horror movies or you love the rom-coms or you enjoy maybe quote darker things or things that are more light filled, like great, because you're always going to also have the opportunity to be in and out, right? Like we've got Chris here saying, I love being in the dark, but like, oh my God, the Barbie movie, right? And
Yeah.
it's like you're allowed to just be whoever you are. And I think the piece to get from the peacock to the butterfly, I think that in between for some people is kind of like remembering that other people's reactions to who you are and how you
Yeah.
operate is not your responsibility. Like it genuinely just isn't. And I think I know that Chris does an amazing job of being like, this is who I am. Welcome to my life and my world. But some people really struggle. Like, I
Mhm.
know I struggled with that for a while because I was a people pleaser.
Mhm.
So, what's some like advice around that or anything that's kind of coming through to you on people who are listening to this and they're like, well, yeah, that would be nice, but like, how do I get there? How do I embody who I am? How do I even know who I am?
Yeah, I think, well, going back a little bit, because there's a lot coming through now, so I'm going to try to get it all out. Um, Going back to the peacock first, the peacock kind of wants to be seen, right? You could see it, like, oh, look at me. Um, the butterfly is just doing its thing,
Right.
right? It's just not bothering anyone. The peacock strut is there, and I'm not saying don't be a peacock. Absolutely, be that and be
Yes.
seen, because it's part of who you are. But as far as going back to people that want to be seen and heard or feeling beautiful or like peacock energy, I think it goes back to you're just really going to have to be confident enough to know that not everyone is going to think you are beautiful. And that in itself is beautiful
Mhm.
because it's just an opinion. It's all an opinion. That's all it is. Be confident enough. If you feel that way, that's all that's really needed. Now, again, if you're the person that needs that, you need to be complimented. You need someone to tell you, you look so good. It's a nice person again. You look so good. You
Mhm.
know, that's, but do they really think that? Maybe not. Maybe they just want to be a pleaser. So do that. And then you're going to have to make an effort, secondly. Like a peacock makes the effort to be seen and be
Mhm.
beautiful. You're not going to You don't have to wear makeup. I'm not saying you have to wear makeup. Some people should, but I'm saying that you don't always have to. But as long as you feel confident enough to do it, then that's fine. But realize whether you're all made up or not, and you walk out in public, you're going to have to be okay with people not thinking that you look good. And that in itself is beauty because you don't care. You don't give a fuck. I am who I am. It is what it is. So for me as a makeup artist and intuitive, there's so many things I hear. There's a lot of people that know I'm intuitive and there's a lot that don't. If I do makeup clients and I work in the entertainment industry with a lot of celebrities, a lot of things going on, a lot of things behind the scenes, a lot of things going on behind the scenes,
So
and
much.
a lot of darkness going on behind the scenes, a lot of light going on behind the scenes. But it is what it is. I love it. I love the chaos of it. Um, because I help heal it, I guess. However, going back to the point, um, you're going to have to be confident enough and comfortable enough to know no one is ever going to always think you're beautiful. There may be people out there that don't feel that way. But as a makeup artist, I hear these intuitive thoughts when I touch their face or work with them. Most of them aren't really happy. Most people in entertainment um, are the ones that are probably the most miserable. And then they're just normal, everyday people that I do makeup for. And I feel their insecurities. I feel their confidence, and it's not my job to say, by the way, I'm psychic and I know you're a fucking mess. How can I help you? Because that's a whole other can of worms to open up. Um, but I can just be intuitive and like, well, let me try this on you, or you look really good today. And that's kind of like why I don't like watching a lot of sensitive movies, because I get it 10
Mhm.
times more than that. And I'm like, I can't be crying when I'm doing someone's makeup because they feel bad.
Right.
So I have to shut that off. And then I don't like being told what to do either. But in makeup, one of the reasons, like, there's been so many agencies I was with, and I just didn't like the agency I was with because I just didn't feel right with it. It was agencies that were like makeup agencies, or any agency really. The one I'm with now, I like really well because they let you do your own thing and they don't take a cut from it. A lot of agencies, even if you do work that they didn't book you on, they're going to still take their cut. And I don't think that's fair. Like, why am I giving you the money when you didn't do anything about it? So I've signed with an agency about a year ago, and I really like them. SW Global, they're really good.
Love it.
Uh, they let me be me, you know. In the beginning, though, it took them a minute to understand me because I'm a lot to understand. I'm like a Rubik's Cube. I have so many sections, and you're never going to figure me out. How many people can solve a Rubik's Cube? There are some, yes, but most people cannot. I am a Rubik's Cube. I'm never going to be figured out completely. And I don't
Mhm.
want to be.
Right. It's the beauty.
I don't want to be that. That is the beauty of me. I'm either misunderstood or I'm an enigma to people. I hold that as power. I don't want to be completely understood. I don't want to be figured out. Some people do. Some people want to be understood. They want to be seen. Um, that's good. I like that too. But I don't want to be complete. I don't want people to completely figure me out. Keep them on their toes.
Well, and you're also always evolving, right? All of
Mhm.
us are. Like, you're not the person you were last year, right? You're not the
Yeah.
person you were 6 months ago. And, one of the things that you said that I think is interesting is you talked about like chaos, right? So I know that one, like that is an energy, speaking of light and dark, chaos
Hmm.
is viewed as a darker energy. It's viewed as a more dense energy.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I feel very comfortable in chaos.
I manifest more in chaos than I do in peace and love and light. That's fine. I mean, that's fine. Love and light is fine. I'm wearing a light shirt. Like, I'm all about love and light. Just don't be annoying with it. But chaos, I'm not starting chaos, but I function well in it because that tornado happens. Guess where I'm at? I'm right in the middle of it,
Well, because you know who
eating
you are.
popcorn.
Right. You know
What's
who
that?
you are. It's
Yeah.
because you know who you are. And
Yeah.
so it's interesting because something I've noticed in relationships, and this is friendships, romantic, whatever, is that I illuminate a lot of things for people. I already know, like, my image that I portray to a lot of people is illumination. And I've started to just be totally fine with that. And one of the things in the last year and a half that I've really noticed is people being like, there's just so much chaos and there's just so much happening. And like, how are you like, okay? And I'm like, I'm the same. I'm like, I'm sitting here like totally grounded because I know who I am. Like, there can be a tornado around me, but I'm embodied in like who I am. You're not going to rock that. You might stretch me into like another area or show me something that might need more like love, attention, or just witness, but
Mhm.
that's not going to rock me. So I
Yeah.
think even knowing that in chaotic situations, which is a dark, dense energy, that you're comfortable, that in itself is you being comfortable in a darker, denser space.
Yeah.
So, and I think people just automatically assume like darkness is demonic, evil, heavy energy. And it's not always just that. I mean, that is darker energy. But, I think the other piece is that with light, I think the darkness that is in the light is spiritual bypassing. And
Mhm.
it's, everybody judges, right? Like in their own way, they do.
Mhm.
But when you are on a pedestal and you're like, well, I don't judge people and I just, only am in the light. And I'm like, come on, that is like total BS. That's not true. Like,
Mhm.
I will judge things and I will just call myself like, you're like, I'm judging. Like, at least you're being honest and real with like where you're at. We're humans. Like we're not in source energy right now. We're in human form. And this is a part of the experience.
Of course, like I feel like going back to the judging, like when everybody judges before a few years ago or so, maybe back in 2015, I guess, people said that I judge too much, I judge people too much. So what did I do? I got a job judging people in Us Weekly Fashion Police.
Like,
Check
oh,
that,
that's my
bitches.
job.
So like, but it was fun. It was all in good humor. Obviously, it wasn't anything where I was maliciously making fun of someone's. Uh, um, I can't make fun of the face. I can't make fun. It's just about fashion, right? So I remember getting uh, Anna Wintour. I had to make fun of her, and a lot of people are afraid of, not afraid, but if you're in the industry, maybe like everyone bows down to Anna. I'm like, okay, that looks bad. So I was the only one that um, was willing to do that because she's such a fashion iconic person for Vogue magazine. And I did it. And it was printed. And she actually liked the comment.
I love
I
that.
feel seen. I feel justified. But again, I'm in that tornado. Like, okay, this is going to be chaotic to a lot of people. I feel fine with this. I don't, I'm not here to hurt anyone's feelings at all. Like, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Mm-hmm.
If I do, that's your issue. Deal with it. Um, not being insensitive either, but, again, it's Earth. Feeling confident enough to know you might get fun of, you may get made fun of that day. You may have someone tell you that you don't look as good as you thought you did. It's not going to happen every day, but you have to be aware and confident enough to know, even if you hear that, you're still fine. Like, so what?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so what? You don't think I look good. That's okay. Because obviously there has to be some opposite and contrast. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how I feel about that. But sounds like you are into little horror movies. If you're in that tornado, that's how I view horror movies, a tornado, because you're calm in it. But I don't
Yeah.
know, maybe in a horror movie, you're in the wind of it going around and around.
Yeah.
But it's all chaotic in a horror movie. It can be chaotic in a rom-com too.
Mm-hmm.
But because Sally didn't meet Jake and Jake didn't call Sally back, and Sally is just devastated. And she went on a date with Fred, and Fred was secretly seeing Jake. I'm like, okay, well, this is not that realistic, but it's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. Well, and I think there's just so much. I mean, this is what I coach people on, right? It's like figuring out who you are and then embodying the fuck out of who that is, like whatever that looks like. And I really am glad to hear this collective read, though, of, I think also going back into that peacock energy is a lot of people are masked still, not as many, but like a lot of people are still kind of putting on what they think people want instead of
The nice
actually,
people.
right, instead of being who you are. So I think that cocooning period where we're going to go from that peacock into the butterfly where you're just doing you, there's the polarity here, right? That it's going to be probably beautiful, that you'll get to like come into who you are. And also there will be destruction because everything that is not that is going to have to
Yeah,
make
I'm hearing,
space.
and I don't mean to interrupt, but usually when I hear things, they have to say it right away. Kind of, the peacock energy is going to cause a fight, though. It's not going to go into that cocoon easily.
Mm.
But it feels beautiful now, and it feels heard, and it's on top. It feels like it's on top. It doesn't, no one wants to get off their pedestal or take an L or whatever. It's going to fight. It's going to be some resistance there, in order for that to happen. Well, okay, so I'm hearing I need to pull a little bit of cards for a minute. Let me, what am I pulling cards on? Um, Peacock going into butterfly. Okay, let's see. What are the pros? Okay, the pros and cons. I'll just do one section. We'll do cons first, and then we'll do the pros. What are the cons from the peacock going into the butterfly? Okay, so well, we got the this is the cons. The Ten of Cups. Usually it's a great card. It's about feeling beautiful, blessings, and that's the thing. It doesn't want to give it up. That's what I said before. And then we have the Queen of Cups, which is about an emotional connection. I feel seen. I am this because I say I am. This is how I feel. Fine, but that's the cons because it's a rom-com to me. It's unrealistic. Um, Throw them in a horror movie. No, I'm kidding. All right, so what are the pros of the peacock and the butterfly? What are the peacock? Okay, interesting. And then next, what is the okay? Interesting. Okay, so the pros of peacock going into butterfly. We have the new beginnings card, which is the number 20. 2 would be union, right? Starting a new life, which is what the butterfly is, it's transformation. Finding your purpose. It says forgiving and compassionate. And then a review of the past. Again, it's like this, we need to meet in the middle. Not that we're going to get along always, but okay, I don't really like you. I don't really like you. Well, high five, we're different. Let's move on. Now
Right.
it's just like, I don't like you. This is how it is. And then we go into the Ten of Pentacles, which is great because that's security, whether it be financial security, family is set for life. I'm not saying people are going to become wealthy because they're not always, because we're still going to have some energies here on earth that take from others as well. Okay. Again, if you believe that everything's going to be love and light and everything's going to be peaceful and great, world peace, that's a rom-com. I need to stop saying that. I don't hate rom-coms, but
I think we
the
have an
energy is just,
underlying thing what's happening here.
it's just an unrealistic kind of thing. Everybody is just I'm hearing um the song "You Gotta Fight for Your Right to Party." It's too much fighting right now, okay? And it's not enough partying.
Yeah.
So that's what I feel. But that's the energies from the peacock to butterfly, the pro and the con, which is very interesting
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
everyone feels beautiful and heard. Not everybody, but the ones that are, let's say, more spotlighted right now are those peacocks. Like, oh, I finally got a spotlight. I have a platform. I can do no wrong right now, and that's fine. I mean, it's your life. Milk it if you have to. Um, but that's not going to want to give that transformation up. It's not going to want to not be popular or famous or whatever to
Hmm.
put that into a cocoon in order for the butterfly to emerge. And the butterfly is still beautiful, like the peacock. It's just going about its business and not bothering anybody.
Hmm. Yeah, that's reflective of what I was channeling earlier was I said, the space that we're coming into in these next couple months is going to be deeply seated in authenticity. And if you're
Yeah.
not being authentic, I was like, it's game over. Like you don't have anywhere to hide. Like the veils are dropped at this point. So I think we're about to just see the separation happening of beings who are actually walking the walk and
Yeah.
beings who are just like, here's the pretty feathers in the show, but like this isn't really who I am. Right. Like it's just
Well, it's
we're
like makeup, right? Like makeup can make people look beautiful and, or, the best they can look. But I was doing a debate a couple years ago about someone said, hashtag no filter. I'm like, but you have like 5 layers of makeup on. That is a filter. And I'm like, no, it's not. I'm not using a filter. I'm like, you're not literally using a filter, but you have layers and layers of stuff on. To me, that is a filter.
Mhm.
You take it all off, just like you take the filter off, and you're left with you.
Mhm.
There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with wearing makeup. I love being in that industry. You know, I have a little concealer on myself. So
Looking fabulous.
So, I'm in that peacock energy too, but I'm always butterfly. I like transformation. I'm always birth and rebirth in my whole life. So, and I can't get there without the chaos.
Right. Well, and
So,
I think there's the parts of us too. I was talking to one of my friends earlier about so when I asked you like what was this year, what was it like this time last year and what do you feel now? It's, this just always feels like a big movement couple of months. So literally you were moving, right? So it feels like this is when the snow globe of life kind of just gets shaken up a little bit, then like turned over and then, shook up a little bit more.
Mhm.
And I was telling her, I said, the thing that I'm realizing is that I feel prepared this year. Like the last 2 years, I kind of feel like I got really rocked. This
Yeah,
year, I already am like, all right, I see you. I know we're walking into a lot of movement and I'm ready. Like this year, I have my popcorn. I'm like, let's go. I'm okay to be in chaos. I'm okay to watch everything around me get destroyed because I know something even better is going to come. And I'm not going to sit in like the rubble being upset. I'm going to be like, cool, where's my phoenix wings so I can be the,
right.
the shiny
Well,
butt.
just one thing also, in order for people to have all the good that they want, like they can imagine your fairy tale life, imagine your perfect life. You want all these things. You want money, you want beauty, you want fame. And there's nothing wrong with wanting any of that on
No,
earth. It's earth. Like you're able to wish and imagine what you want. Okay. But all those great things will never happen without chaos and sacrifice.
yeah.
It never happens that way, and it might, you might get lucky. There are waves of luck sometimes coming in, but I think in situations like that it's more it's either karmic or destiny of souls to have that type of life. That's more of a karmic thing for me, or some kind of destiny. It can be luck, but let's say you come into this life not wanting to learn the purpose of being wealthy and living wealthy throughout your whole life. You may win the lottery, but most likely people that do, that don't know how to manage money, lose it all.
Yeah, they end up going bankrupt most of the time.
Yeah,
And
it's rent all at one time. They have this wealth and they don't know what to do with it. So what do they think? They spend it. I want the house. I want the car. I want the hose. I want the bros. Whatever. Like, and that's fine. Do it if you want to do it. It's yours to spend, and you have free will. I would personally invest it.
Mhm.
I would spend some stuff. I'm not going to deny myself that. What's the point of having all that if you can't enjoy it also?
Right,
But you have to be realistic because these things don't last forever. Nothing lasts forever, even our purpose here on earth.
right.
So enjoy it, but you got to be realistic about certain things. But I think that's more of a karmic thing and more of a destiny if you're born in that type of stuff. But again, wish for the stars, but you can't do it in the light. You got to do it in the dark in order to see it.
Mhm.
Cheers.
Cheers. The other piece about that too, though, is I do think because I know people who a very specific person is coming to my mind, but I'm just going to say people. I do know people because I've encountered other ones that have a lot of wealth,
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of money, like top percent of money,
Mm-hmm.
but completely turn away from the shadow,
Yeah.
completely will not take responsibility for their own darkness, shadow, or chaos that may be reflected to them by other people, and only believe it should come easy and gracefully. And because they have so much money, well, I must be right
Mm-hmm.
because I have all this money and money is energy. So I must be right.
Mm-hmm.
And the sadness, though, is I witness people that are in those spaces, they're empty. There is
Yep.
no, there's no true actual happiness or appreciation really for where they are, nor are they able to even enjoy the
Mm-hmm.
resources that they really have. Like, can they go on trips and do things? Yes. But are you actually like embodied and happy? No. But what does happen is the people who I've also seen go, through a lot of chaos, a lot of destruction, a lot of breakdown, and then get to that space where they're like financially more free,
Mm-hmm.
they're fucking on fire. They're full, they're
Yeah.
happy. They're like, I'm taking the trips and I'm living, and they're really in the joy. So I think there's also the understanding that, like, yes, you might get some things that just come to you and flow to you, but really all of the things that you learn to trust and surrender to get to where you're going, that's like
Yeah.
building you into the actual feeling of what you're wanting, anyways.
Yeah. To me, Spirit Saints, it's like that cocoon. Life should be about death and rebirth.
Yes.
And I think when you're born into a situation where you become numb or autopilot, these billionaires or the one percenters, that is normal to them. So they don't have any highs or lows. If everything's high, then it's normal stuff. So they're not able to enjoy contrast. Okay.
Yes.
Or they don't want to enjoy contrast. Um, you could take the same with people born into a religious family that only know that religion and they just go by that. They don't know how to deal with contrast because it's not familiar to them and they don't want to do it. But I think death and rebirth, and I don't mean, literal death, but we're all going to have that at some point in our life. I love getting the death card in tarot because it's the chaos card. Not exactly chaos. Tower would be more chaos, but tower moments need to happen. And if I'm doing a reading for people and the tower comes up, I'm like, I'm not going to say, well, guess what?
Buckle up.
Buckle up. I just say that there's a moment that needs to be looked at, and there's a time frame with the tower moment. So you need to either do it yourself by your own free will, or the universe is going to do it for you. It's better if you do it, because by the time the universe does it, it's a Nene Leak saying, I said what I said. So if things are meant to happen in this lifetime for you, if you signed up for it somehow, or if it's just supposed to happen for your better good, and you don't do it, it will happen eventually. You're not going to get away from it. So right. That's what I relate the tarot card tower. If I get that, if I get death in a reading, it's just about rebirth. Most 98% of the times, it's about rebirth. It can be literal death for some people or someone in their family, of course. That has happened in readings before, but I'll know when I get it, how I feel about it, what I hear, and if that's that case, then I'll just tell them, because otherwise, if I'm not guided to tell them that I won't. But most times if they're getting a reading, they're probably kind of already aware that it might happen anyway. Sometimes they're not. The first reading I did for someone that was an unbeliever, she just didn't believe in tarot, or she didn't understand it. And everything I said, she was like, I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. I don't get it. It doesn't relate to me. I'm like, first of all, you're annoying. Secondly, I need you to calm down and just let me talk and let me explain what I'm getting. It may not make sense to you now. It might. The situation was, I heard that there's going to be a change in the dynamics of her bloodline and her family. She's like, what do you mean? I was like, there's going to be some kind of sudden change in your family. I don't know. That's just what I'm hearing. I said, it could be anything from the refrigerator needing to be replaced to maybe a death. I was like, I don't know, but I'm hearing a sudden change. 2 days later, her mother died. So then she was like, so you're psychic. Yeah. So things like that. And I'll only get, because again, every tarot reader, every psychic, every medium is only able to deliver the message through their own personality. Mm-hmm. I'll get a message and it's going to be completely different from the way you deliver it, from the way someone else delivers it, because you have to put your personality and your perception as yourself into the message. So it's like thinking of the color blue. Everyone's going to have a different color in their mind usually. Is it dark blue? Is it navy blue? Is it neon blue? Is it turquoise? It's actually cerulean. And it trickled down to some hardware store and a pile of stuff. Anyway, Devil Wears Prada reference. So that's the whole thing about perception. Everyone's going to have a different perception. Going back to beauty, be confident in how you look, and that's all you can do. That's all. If you feel great and beautiful, no matter what, go out there and do it. Accept the compliments, but be aware that there's going to be people that don't feel the same way. Be okay with that as much as you can. Now, if you hear it all the time and you're getting more negative stuff than positive stuff, then, maybe it's something that you need to go inside and think more about. Maybe you need to move. Maybe it's just simple of moving away, depending on your situation. I'm not saying moving away is the answer to everybody, but maybe find a place where you are more appreciated. I don't know. It's going to be different for everybody, Yeah,
it's really important to take into account what's around you, who's around you. And, if you're not being appreciated, yes, there's like, am I reflecting this because I need to appreciate myself more? Or am I just around people who are not in alignment?
Yeah,
So,
most people feel the same way anyway.
right.
You
Right.
know, they want to bring you down so they can feel better. Not always. I mean, some people are just assholes and like, oh, you look awful. Um, you know, I've never said that to somebody ever, um, just to be mean. If they open up discussion of what can I do better,
Constructive criticism.
right?
Chris,
And it's
actually,
never
funny story. So when when I moved to New York and I started working with Chris, I brought my portfolio because he's like, I need to see where you're at, what's going on. I had my first New York moment of crying home on the subway because I, in one hand, completely understood everything he critiqued. And I was like, yes, 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 this is going to make me a better artist. And then I went home and just cried for like a long time. So I was like, I'm so not as good as I thought I was. And what am I
such a
doing?
rom-com movie.
Yeah, it was. But then, the beautiful thing is though, right? Like I got past my emotion of it, is I really do respect people like you who can do that, because it did make me a better artist. And then it made my eye to see things so much better, right? So
Yeah,
much.
and I've been through the same thing. I definitely had my portfolio torn apart and ripped apart by ones at that time that were more advanced than I was.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's not about no, okay, I don't want to say that. Like it is about talent. You do have to have talent, obviously, to work, right? But when you present your book of work or online work to people, it's really all about business and if you're going to get booked or not,
Mm-hmm.
because that's really all it's about. So, especially in agencies, you could be the greatest makeup artist and never get booked for some sort of reason, or you could be okay, and you still get booked, but it's all about how you're marketed. But
Mm-hmm.
it's all about business. So you do want to have a better portfolio of whatever you do. It doesn't have to be makeup of whatever. But in my situation, I've learned that it's really all about marketing. And if you're going to make money for the agency or if you're going to make money for yourself, really, because when people see the image, they don't see how much blood, sweat, and tears you put into it, and they don't care.
Mm-hmm.
That's not relevant to them. What matters is what they look like, what it looks like, maybe what you look like. I always ace that one.
You did.
It's all about how your makeup skills are, and that's really what they are looking at, that one image. But there's a lot that goes into it. You have to have detail. And me being Virgo, I'm super detailed. Sometimes I can be too detailed, or I'm never happy or satisfied with it. And that, in a way, is a good thing because I strive to make it better as
Mm-hmm.
much as I can. But I've also got to realize that, enough is enough. Sometimes it's fine the way it is. Move on to something else, you
Yep.
know. But as a
Yes.
Virgo, I just kind of want to fix it.
Well, you're incredible and talented in many, many different arenas. And I'm so grateful that you're here. We're rounding out our time, but I want to give you an opportunity to just share how people can work with you, the easiest and best way to find you, book with you, any of that. And all of your links and stuff will be in the description as well.
Okay. Well, as you can see in the background, I'm an artist in many ways. Like I do a lot of artwork also, and I did this on the West Coast back when I was away from New York because I still wanted to be an artist and express myself. Obviously, you can see what's going on in my head. A lot of color. See, I like color.
I love
Not
it.
just dark, I love color. But as far as Find Me goes, you can go if you want to see the makeup stuff. Lanston Makeup. That's on Instagram. My personal Instagram, where most of my psychic stuff is, the reviews, and just me being a thirsty gay sometimes. It's Chris Lanston, and that's Lanston, no G. I hate when people put a G in my name. And then the artwork is This Is the Remix Art, and those are Instagram handles. I do have a TikTok. I think it's Lanston75, but that's more about me posting Gen X stuff. Sometimes I do fun videos, but mostly it's comedies, skits, or movie scenes that I enjoyed my whole life as a Generation X person. So that's where you can find me.
I love
Slide
that.
into my DMs.
Thank you for coming. I'm sure you'll be back on here at some point for us to riff and talk about other things, but go check out Chris and all of the spaces. His links will be below. Thank you for being here today, and I will
Thank
see you
you.
guys next week. Bye.
Bye.